Welcome to Impact Makers Radio, featuring industry thought leaders sharing problem-solving insights to help grow your business and live the life you love. And here's your host, Stuart Andrew Alexander.
Hi, and welcome to another Let's Talk Divorce conversation. And during this segment of the show, I am very pleased to say that we finally have family law attorney Elizabeth Yang, who is the owner and founder of the Law and Mediation Offices of Elizabeth Yang, calling in all the way from sunny Los Angeles in California. Now then, ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth, who is certainly considered to be a leader in the area of family law, will be talking to you today about the importance of mediation in divorce matters. Now, that sounds like a really interesting topic. So if you are one of the many people in the Los Angeles, California area looking at your options for divorce, then you just might want to take a break. You might even want to grab a notepad and pen so that you can take some notes as you listen in to what Elizabeth has to share with us today. So, with that said, she's a very busy lady. Let's not keep her waiting any longer. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth.
Hello, Stuart. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. It's a tremendous pleasure to be here with all of you, and I'm happy to share about my family law practice and experience with everyone here.
Fantastic. And we are so happy to have you here. As I alluded to before, we know just how busy you are over there in California. So with that said then, Elizabeth, let's just jump feet first in with our first question. If you could, just briefly, in your own words, describe the kinds of people who you serve and the various types of situations they find themselves in when they come to you for your help.
Absolutely. So family law is one of my areas of expertise. I also specialize in intellectual property, which includes patents, trademarks, and copyrights, business law, and I also assist my clients with fighting traffic tickets. But today's point is family law. And my family law clients come to me for a variety of different reasons. It can be anything ranging from couples getting ready to be married and needing an attorney to draft a prenup, or couples that are already married needing a postnup to delineate their assets during the marriage. I also have clients coming to me for divorce with child custody, child support, spousal support, and issues related to assets division. So, my family law clients sometimes are in a happy time of their life, with marriage right around the corner. But most of the clients that I serve are dealing with very emotional issues surrounding their divorce.
Okay, Elizabeth, so keeping in mind that anything you share with us today is not legal advice or legal assistance. It's purely for the purpose of disseminating information. Before we go on, can we both agree on that then, Elizabeth?
Yes, absolutely. I'm just here to share information, not giving legal advice.
Perfect. Okay, then. So with that said, what's the most common misconception you come across while you're out there working with your clients in the Los Angeles, California area?
There's many misconceptions. One common misconception is that parties think that they don't have to go through mediation, and somehow one way or another their issues will be resolved magically and the divorce will just end. In reality, that's not the case. Divorces can go on for many, many years. My own personal divorce, the one that lasted 4 years before it was resolved through mediation. And many of my clients, they've come to me after their divorce is going on for 7 years, sometimes even more than 10 years, and they have no idea how to put an end to it. Mediation, it can either be one mediator that's in between both parties and facilitating with communication to have the parties reach a resolution, or it could be two attorneys, perhaps both certified mediators, facilitating the intentions and needs of their clients while reaching a resolution with the other party.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Elizabeth. So, based on what you just shared with us, and obviously keeping your client's confidentiality in mind, could you please share an example or a case study, so to speak, of how you have helped, or even how you would go about helping someone who comes to you with those challenges, those misconceptions that you just described, and what kind of transformational results you were able to or would be able to gain for them?
Yeah, absolutely. Other than the extreme situations where domestic violence and restraining orders are in place, I usually advise my clients to communicate with the other party as much as possible, especially if they have children involved. Attorneys can assist with the legal aspects, but having to communicate with any third party, which includes through an attorney, does create miscommunication, a little bit of miscommunication or a lot of miscommunication. It varies. But if the parties can sit down and during our mediation sessions, we have tools to facilitate communication so that the parties feel understood and can understand the other party. Once miscommunication is out of the way and the parties understand each other, many times they come to a resolution on their own without the assistance of the legal system. So I highly recommend parties that are in high conflict situations to sit down. One of my clients, they were in a divorce for over 7 years, had so many issues. And the problem was they just never talked to each other. They always went through the attorneys and built up a lot of attorney fees. The minute I had them sit down in the same room, repeat what the other person was saying, they came up with a resolution and we signed the settlement agreement that very same day.
So, Elizabeth, as a reminder, we are speaking about the importance of mediation in divorce matters. Now, with that in mind, and for those people who are listening in right now and they're wanting to know more about the mediation process, please share one common but unknown pitfall that they need to avoid, regardless of what situation they find themselves in.
One common pitfall to avoid is thinking that not talking to the other party will resolve issues. Right. The legal system is in place. I mean, it's a great system, but ultimately, judges do not like to be involved with family law matters. They always send the parties to mediation before ruling on any hearing and making any order. They prefer the parties to reach a resolution on their own. So do not think that hiding and not talking to the other party is the right way to go about things.
Now, Elizabeth, I get a sense that there's so much more that you could share. However, we are limited by time, but you're sharing such great insights. Could you just share one more common pitfall that your clients or your potential clients who are listening to our conversation should take into consideration while they're out there considering their options for divorce?
Another common pitfall in family law has to do with child support and child custody. A lot of parents think that if they don't make any money, they will not be able to get custody of their children because the court might think they cannot support their children. In reality, that is not the case. Child support and child custody are completely separate issues, and how much one makes in income does not affect one's child custody at all. So don't think that, I don't have a job, I have to do everything the other party asked. That's not the case. Without abuse or neglect in place, parties are entitled to custody of their children.
Now, Elizabeth, I do believe you have been practicing law since 2007. Is that correct?
Correct. It's my 10-year anniversary this year.
Well, great. So congratulations with that. So when you think about all of the people that you have helped since 2007, what's the most important thing to you about being able to help your clients to achieve their desired outcomes? What's most important to you?
What's most important to me is making a difference in the families that I serve. Having parents be able to learn how to get along and communicate and co-parent not only makes a difference in their lives, but it affects the entire lives of their children. Studies have shown that between the ages of 5 and 12 are the most critical times of a human being's life. That's where the foundation is set. So imagine a child growing up in a household where the parents hate each other and are yelling and fighting, versus a household or two households where even if the parents are divorced and separated, at least they can get along for the best interests of their children. So that's the most important thing to me, making a difference in our next generation's lives.
I'm so glad that you're out there making such a positive impact on people's lives, but primarily, as you alluded to yourself, the children. It's actually the main reason why I started this series, Let's Talk Divorce. One of the reasons is obviously to give professionals like yourself a voice, a platform to share your insights with consumers out there who are looking for this kind of information. But fundamentally, the main reason is for the people out there who are listening right now who may be going through a divorce and may be in that kind of situation where they don't see eye to eye. There's a lot of anger, there's conflict, there's fighting, and that's happening in front of their children. And the reason why I bring that up is because I was one of those children of divorce at 9 years old, in that very vulnerable age group that you just mentioned. And my parents went through a very volatile divorce where there was lots of fighting, lots of violence, lots of blood. And I didn't know how to process that. I internalized it. I blamed myself. I grew up with the guilt of that and carried that into adulthood. And it had a massive impact on the decisions I made as a young adult in terms of work, in terms of relationships, and many other things, which had a huge impact on my life. And the domino effect of that still lives on today. And now and again, it's still, even after doing a lot of internal reflection and working on myself, it still rears its ugly head. So I'm so glad that you brought up that point, because this is the reason why we're actually doing this show, so that listeners out there may hear, insights from people like yourself and decide to look at their situation from a different perspective and put their children first. I always say, love your children more than you hate yourselves, because they're the ones that, they're the most vulnerable ones. They're the ones that don't have a voice. So I'm so glad that you brought up that point and that you're out there doing this kind of work for the poor children who don't have a choice. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Elizabeth.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your personal story. Very touching, and it just shows that making a difference in the parents' lives will affect the children. My children are currently 8 and 6. When my ex-husband and I went through our divorce, they were 1 and 3. So they were very young, and I'm very happy to say that my ex-husband and I are able to get along now and work in the best interest of the children, because when we were not, they can feel the anger and the hatred and all the negativity in their little bodies every day when we, even though we didn't see each other very much, even during a simple custody exchange, they can feel it and they would cry and cry and cry. But now, they understand that we live in two households, but we get along. We go to their first day of school together. We go to their open houses together. We celebrate birthdays together. And it will make a difference in their lives and their relationships going forward.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing your experience as going through a divorce yourself. And I'm telling you, my listener, as you're listening out there right now, if you are in that unfortunate position and you are going through a divorce and it could be more amicable than it actually is, please put your children first. They do pick up on every single nuance, no matter how much you think the children are not picking up on it. They do pick up on it and they do internalize it. So that's all I have to say on that topic. Let's just continue from here, Elizabeth, and spend a brief moment talking about yourself, and especially a little bit about your background and your formal education, as well as your experience as it relates to the topic of mediation in divorce matters and family law.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as previously stated, I've been practicing law for 10 years. My undergraduate degree from UC Berkeley was in electrical engineering and computer science. I became an intellectual property first and foremost, and then became a family law attorney after going through my own 4-year divorce. For all the listeners out there, if you think your divorce is impossible to resolve, trust me, it's not. Anything that you say is impossible, there is always a possibility. And having that third-party mediator, a different perspective come in, may be just what is needed to finalize and resolve the divorce. I am currently also a temporary judge with the Los Angeles Superior Court, overseeing small claims, domestic violence, and traffic matters. And I have offices for my law firm in Los Angeles, Monterey Park, as well as in Orange County in the city of Irvine, servicing clients in the greater Southern California area.
So, Elizabeth, as you think about those people who come to you for help and wanting to dig a little bit deeper into the topic of mediation in divorce matters, as you think about those people, what final thoughts would you like to share with them before we finish up with our last question for today?
My final thought would be, for every challenge, instead of seeing it as something that's bringing you down, see it as an opportunity to grow. There's always a silver lining, and instead of waiting for the thunderstorms to pass, it's about learning to dance in the rain. That's one of my favorite quotes that I love to live by when I'm encountering challenges in life myself. Right. You know, we're all human beings. Challenges are very common. It can happen every single day, but it's all about learning to see it with a different eye and interpret it as an opportunity.
Okay, Elizabeth, my dear, if there is somebody out there who's listening right now and they feel they need to know more about mediation in divorce matters, if that's the case, what's the easiest way for them to find you?
They can reach our office directly at 877-492-6452. That's 877-4-YANG-LAW. Or they can visit our website at www.yanglawoffices.com.
Fantastic. And I'll ensure those contact details are on the website beneath your show. Elizabeth, I could sit here and shoot the breeze with you all day about this topic. It is just so interesting, and I feel that we've only touched the tip of the iceberg with the insights that you could share with our listeners. However, we are out of time. So, as a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, once more, that was family law attorney Elizabeth Yang. Thank you so much for sharing so generously with us today, Elizabeth. You have certainly demonstrated that you're a true educator and advocate for your client's success. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Stuart. It was a pleasure.
You are so welcome, my dear. And I'd also like to take a moment to say a big thank you to you. Yes, you, the listener, who may find themselves in that unfortunate position of considering divorce. You may be in divorce or you may have been divorced. Whatever the case may be, Thank you so much for tuning in today on this very insightful and what I can only describe as a very informative discussion with one of the top family law attorneys in the Los Angeles, California area today. Again, her name is Elizabeth Yang. Make sure you do check her out. Give her a call, visit her website, send her an email address. Whatever you decide to do after listening to Elizabeth today, I'm sure that you're going to be in good hands. So that's it, folks. That's all we have time for. Again, I am Stuart Andrew Alexander, and we'll be back shortly with some more leading family law professionals in this, our series of Let's Talk Divorce Conversations. So, until then, take care, have a great day, and we'll talk real soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Impact Makers Radio. To listen to all past, present and future industry thought leaders and trendsetters, visit us at impactmakersradio.com.